Ba-na-na-na, da-da-da-da-da. Ba-na-ba-na, ba-na-bum, ba-na, 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 ba-na.
That's not even the song that plays.
It's not. There's two different songs, same band. Greetings!
Greetings, salutations, and hellos.
If you are real, blink your eyes really fast. We need to know. Is this just an illusion, or is this... Pinch me. Pinch me, please.
Yes, we saw... Welcome again to another Keystone Film Review. We saw The Matrix Resurrections. They kept the R theme going.
Indubitably.
And, you know, it's directed and written by Lana Wachowski. Not with her sister, Lily Wachowski, who did not want to partake in this one. Not for any reason, just didn't feel like it. Yeah, it was a thing. Yeah. Starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Jonathan Groff, Jessica Henwick, Neil Patrick Harris, Jada Pinkett Smith. Oh, is that a spoiler? I don't know. It's on IMDb, it's not a spoiler. Priyanka Chopra Jones, Christina Ricci for a whole scene, and others.
And others.
This movie, of course, is the fourth installment of the Matrix, no longer trilogy, Matrix franchise, I guess. The last one was in 2003. Both the second and third one came out in 2003. Fun fact, both those movies were the first R-rated movies I saw in theaters.
Nice.
Yes. With Papa Hicks.
With Papa Hicks.
And this one, of course... Just another in a line of sequels that came out really late.
Very late. Very
late. Banking on nostalgia. I thought this was fine.
So Mike and I had both watched. He rewatched. I watched for the first time all the other movies except for the first Matrix.
No, to clarify what he's saying, he had seen the first one before. And was watching 2 and 3 for the first time.
Yep.
Just to get the confusion out of the way.
I've got the confusion. But yeah, I watched the second and third one, trying to get ready for this one, just so I have the whole story intact in my brain and know what's going on. And yeah, a lot of people don't like those two movies. I know exactly where you're coming from. That's okay.
I'm one of them.
Now this one, I don't know really what to... or what I should have expected, coming from the second and third one being not that great, especially when you compare it to the first one. You're going to also, I feel like, do that with this one. And that's not going to lie, that's what I'm going to kind of do as well. But I'm also going to compare it to the second and third when I'm watching this as well.
One thing I noticed, this kind of felt like Lana Wachowski writing Keanu's story through what he's been doing since the ending of the third one. Kind of felt like she was writing her experience with the sequels for The Matrix through him. Because in this story, he's a video game designer who made a game called Binary, which is essentially just The Matrix. You know, the in-game video is literally The Matrix, like the movie The Matrix. And he is coming to this crossroads where he's being forced by Warner Brothers, literally in the movie, being forced by Warner Brothers, the parent company of the company he works for, to make sequels. I don't know if anyone knows this. The Wachowskis, famously, not so famously, did not really want to make sequels. They saw the original Matrix as a standalone movie. And they even, in this, Lana added the parts where they wanted it to be sexier and more violent. And if you see Reloaded and Revolutions, it is gratuitously sexier.
Very much so.
And gratuitously more violent.
Especially the second movie. Especially
the second movie where it's not an orgy, but it's an orgy.
It's basically an orgy.
Yeah. it's close to being an orgy without actually being an orgy.
And I think in the third one, somebody gets their nipples pinched. I saw that. And I was like,
did.
Wow.
So it kind of felt like, through the, Keanu's character, it kind of felt like she was venting her frustrations with the two sequels with that. What that means for this one being made, I don't know. I don't have answers for that.
She's venting about the second and third one, and then made the fourth one.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
It's just something I picked up on. And honestly, I would not have picked up on it if I didn't watch Reloaded or Revolutions. And then also read some trivia about how they made it in their contract that they didn't have to do press interviews for the sequels.
Yeah. With this movie, it was, I'm not going to lie, it was a little rough for me. There was a lot of jokes that didn't land well with me, and a lot of topic pieces about stuff like how Tom Anderson was making this game called Matrix or Binary or whatever, and a lot of things they made sense, to get him stuck in the Matrix and make him think that he's a real person and stuff like that. But it felt just too, to me, too in the now, in the right now, we're in today's days instead of going back to what it used to be in some sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had to evolve the technology with how bad it was. But
and
no,
even so, with evolving the technology is when you've got Jessica Henwick, she's got a whole earpiece in, when I feel the guy I don't remember the guy who reads the code, Zeke.
Zeke or Seek?
I think it's Seek.
Yeah.
He would play by play tell her everywhere everything is and stuff like that. And when they used to just kind of have a phone, and I feel that kind of took the the caution out of it and the thrill out of what was going on, because in the originals they had this phone and they had to have it on them. It's always on them. Yeah. They're getting the play by play. They know where to go. They know where the mirror is instead of the telephone booth or whatever. They're getting the play-by-plays. So the thrill of having it moderned a little bit takes it out of it a little bit, and you don't feel like there's much danger, especially with the next topic that I want to talk about. Unless you wanted to add on to any of that.
All I was going to add on is the entire idea of the Wachowskis making the Matrix is that they wanted it to make it feel make you question if you were in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So in that sense, to keep that illusion, to keep that question up, they had to update.
To evolve it.
To evolve the Matrix, and therefore the people going into the Matrix had to also evolve.
Yeah.
So while I agree with what you're saying, it's kind of like the theme and the immersion of it, where the Wachowskis try to make you second guess, even though we all know we are in the Matrix.
Yeah. And this, with that, it felt everybody was so fancy looking and not, I don't know. It was even, I don't know how to explain this. Everybody just looked so colorful in this compared to what it also used to be. It was just all black and stuff like that.
That is a change of cinema in general, because late 90s, early 2000s was very sepia, whereas one color tone, but not necessarily the brown that sepia is. Green was a big thing, especially because of the Matrix. Blues were a thing. It was right around when digital films started coming, so they started being able to grade their films, color grade their films, however they wanted. So that was kind of a style thing, and now movies are trying to be more colorful. So that is something of the times, which doesn't necessarily need to be that way. I think it would have been cool if the Matrix stayed bland.
Yeah.
Because the Matrix was beautiful.
That's what I liked about that altogether.
In the original Matrix, everything's very green, very kind of gross feeling. In this one, it's it is a dream world, and Keanu's character Neo is a little depressed, so it's understandable why he wants to leave. But I agree with you. I wish that they made the Matrix feel more bland, so that when you came to the real world and saw the color, even if it was a more dystopian future, the color made you feel more.
It made you feel like you were part of the simulation without thinking oh, I'm part of a simulation, in such a way. When this one, everybody was just, it did feel like every day, but very vibrant, very extravagant every day. In comparison. But I wanted to talk about the combat and fighting scenes too. This felt like I mean, Matrix always had really good combat sequences and stuff like that. Just good fighting sequences and just, FX and stuff like that. And this one, every fight scene felt like I was watching a Taken movie because there's just so many fast cuts and pulled punches and all this. And then Neo constantly fucking using his force field all the time to where it didn't feel...
Yeah.
Where it didn't feel like it was something special. It was just like, shield.
Yeah.
Shield. Shield.
The first couple times it happens, it makes you do that, oh shit, because, he is supposed to have forgotten all of his powers. And that leads up to some jokes too, which I thought were pretty funny. But yeah, they definitely overused the shield thing where it defeats
the shield,
all of the suspense.
Force pushing kind of, not... Sorry, Star Wars fans, it's not force pushing. But, all of that just felt so overused, and he didn't really do anything but that, which also makes sense. He's kind of coming back to what he knows, but not very well.
It's like me when I play a video game, and I learn one thing that works well, so I just hit that button.
Keep spamming that button.
That's me playing Luigi in Smash Brothers. Pisses everyone off because they hate Luigi. Luigi is your Lord and Savior. All hail Luigi.
All hail. I mean, that was like a huge rough thing for me because all of the Matrix movies had great combat or just fighting scenes, and this one didn't feel like it had anything that I was risking in any way because I knew Neo was gonna use the shield or just force push or just even like the fighting didn't feel like the fists were connecting in any way.
And that's I feel like the Wachowskis forgot that bullet time is not a power. Because Trinity can do bullet time in the beginning, and it's never described as like a power. It just kind of shows you how fast their brain works.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that it's a superpower. And in this, they make it an outright superpower that Neo had forgotten. Without
and now all
giving
of the
too
Matrix
much.
just knows.
And all the Matrix just knows. Yeah. So I agree. The fighting style, the cinematography of the fights was much more interesting in the first one, and
I don't
second
want
and third too. But
I don't want to keep comparing it to the original, but like this, it didn't feel like you were risking anything. Even like when people are getting their asses beat, it doesn't really show like that they're losing their life or getting the fuck beat out of them.
Yeah.
Like except for Keanu gets beat up a couple times, and there's one person who gets hit by a car, but like they don't show them like in the car getting fucked up. Like they just show like the car getting hit, and then it cuts to them just with a bloody face, not any like reaction to it. It doesn't feel like there's any risk involved in anything they're doing in this. As far as
it's
I feel
like
like I'm
playing
ranting.
video games before there's a vibration setting on the controller.
I feel like I'm ranting a little bit too long on that.
No, I get what you're saying though. It doesn't feel like there's stakes.
Yeah.
As even in Reloaded and Revolutions, it feels like there's stakes. In this, it does not. Maybe that's just because we've been so like saturated with movies where things never go wrong that we're just kind of subconsciously trained to just be like everything is going to be all right, which is really just kind of boring. And fuck modern movies for making us subconsciously think
For real.
that. But yeah, I agree. It definitely feels like there's no stakes. There was only one moment in this where I felt like it could go either way, either survival or death, and it didn't. It lasted like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But for that 30 seconds, I was like, something interesting might happen.
It doesn't feel like there's risk. It doesn't feel like there's sacrifice or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel like there's one huge thing. This involves a spoiler, so I'll wait unless you have anything to say.
The one thing I will say before we get into spoilers is that the cool thing about The Matrix, the first one, is that it is complex but not convoluted. With each passing sequel, this being the worst one, Resurrection being the worst one, it gets more and more convoluted. But the original Matrix was complex, but you could follow it. This one, it was just like, okay, I guess we're just going along for the ride and I'm not going to understand anything really. That also has to do with some of the dialogue being muddled and also some dumbass kid talking behind us.
A lot of exposition.
A lot of exposition.
A lot of fast talking as well.
Made up pseudoscience that's
with a British
not real
accent. And magnets.
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
How the fuck do magnets work?
Magnet AIs. That's a whole different thing to talk about. I'm not going to talk more about that. That pissed me off.
It's more convoluted than its predecessors, and that's kind of where it gets lost for me. I still enjoyed this movie for the most part, but you know, granted, I didn't go in expecting it was going to be as good as the original 1999 Matrix.
Yeah.
That would have just been impossible. But it's fine. But we can get into spoilers.
And that's real. Magic everywhere in this bitch.
Do you notice and recognize miracles?
It's all around you. You don't even know it.
So let me hop into that bad boy.
Yeah.
Ever since the first Matrix movie, there was always something that I always wanted to happen that they never really did in the trilogy at all, and that Neo got all the spotlight. When in the first one, it's kind of like Trinity's this golden gal. She's fucking kicking ass. She seems to be the one until the one comes along, kind of thing. So she was like this hot little lady kicking all sorts of butt, and then it's kind of just taken away from her, so Keanu can get all the spotlight. Not Keanu himself, but Neo. And the one thing that I wanted was for her to kind of get that limelight back. Not that she never helped in any way or just was not equal to him, well, except for, him having super fucking powers.
It was never acknowledged how powerful she was.
Yeah. And with this one, I got that. I was like, yeah, she got her. She's the one now. Are they
Carrie-Anne
both
Moss, you badass.
So this movie did do the one thing that I wanted the two sequels to do back when they came out, but I just watched this 2 days ago. So so that actually bumped my score up by a half a star. I will say that. So
while Jonathan Groff did a good job, Hugo Weaving was sorely missed. No one is as good as Hugo Weaving. Jonathan Groff did good with what he had and the expectations brought on with the Agent Smith character. And the twist of Neil Patrick Harris being the bad guy was very obvious from the get-go, in my opinion. Even with Jonathan Groff being Agent Smith, I just, no one wears blue glasses like that.
No one.
No one.
We should have known you were crazy from the start.
We should have known you were crazy from the start. Why are your glasses the same color as the pill that keeps you in the Matrix, Neil Patrick Harris? I'm on to you.
So I creamed my pants for a reason.
Oh, on with the Agent Smith character. On with the Agent Smith character. On with the Agent Smith character. On with the Agent Smith character.
We're
going there.
They took out basically all the agents from the past movies. Agents basically don't exist except for in the beginning of this movie. They replaced them with what theoretically is just zombies. There's zombies in the Matrix. Yep. Not actual zombies, like they're gonna gnaw your skin off or anything. But they're coming to beat some ass with their little binary eyes. What the fuck? Bring the agents back. They were more menacing and definitely cooler, if anything, and they only had it for 5 minutes in the beginning.
There were cool visuals with the swarm, I think is what they called them. Which, I think is also, the Sentinels were also called swarms in the previous three. But I agree, the whole look of like the Men in Black, which, in our real world already has like a creepy connotation unless it's Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. That was kind of menacing. And I don't know why they changed it other than to have
I can understand if
the sequence where everyone's jumping out of windows, which was visually cool.
Even with agents, that would have been still cool. Maybe, them turning into agents, those real people turning into agents, and then jumping out the window or something.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to oversaturate every single movie with agents. I can understand that.
I think that they were a little standoffish because of how many Agent Smiths there are in Reloaded, which to a lot of people, myself included, is when the Matrix series really jumped the shark. I love Hugo Weaving, but he became less menacing when they had that cartoonish fight where there was like 200 of him versus one Neo.
Yeah, and then the 199 of them didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's your thing in Revolutions.
Oh, am I? Yeah.
And in Reloaded, he's like fighting all of them. And then and then in Revolutions, they're there but not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of could see why they might have wanted to take a step back from the agents. I'm really upset that video game where Morpheus dies is canon. It doesn't need to be canon.
Is it canon? Because they kind of uncanon.
The Wachowskis have said
this.
that it is canon.
I feel like they uncanon it in this though.
They didn't.
But they didn't say how he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't say how he died.
It's weird.
It is weird. But it would have been nice to see Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II did really good.
Yeah, he was good, but they.
But he wasn't exact. He was the video game creation of Morpheus that Neo created in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm. And also, after like the first act, he just had shit all to do.
And he was magnets.
Yeah.
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
And
how do they work?
That's so stupid. I'm done talking. I feel like we talked a lot.
Yeah, we did. I'm just going. So for me, the real Matrix, the 1999 original Matrix movie, is 5 stars. Reloaded is 2 stars. Revolution's 3 stars, and that's just because it realizes it's dumb and is fighting. This one, I'm kind of at a 3.5. I like it better than Reloaded and Revolution, but it's also not good. So I don't want to give it a 3.5, but it's definitely better than those two in my opinion.
You ready for mine?
Yes.
All right. Mine was a 2 until the Trinity thing happened.
Yes.
Now it's a 2.5.
Yeah.
It got a 0.5 star boost because of the Trinity thing.
I legitimately think that it's just, I liked that they had fun with it. They had some stupid jokes in there. I think that's why I was easier on it. Like, when they were kind of joking around, I was like, oh, this is something that is not in the other Matrix movies. Mm-hmm. They're having fun. Sure, it might not go with the world, but I can understand that this is not the same tone as the very moody first 3.
Yeah.
Not that every movie needs to have jokes, but it's essentially a cartoon.
Maybe I'm just being a little too harsh because I'd rather just would have slept than watch this movie after editing all day.
It's 1:38 a.m. right now.
But I mean, I feel like that regardless still would have been my score.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe I would have been less harsh on a different day, but who knows?
Who knows? Yes.
Bye.